Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, not only were all five of us in the same place for the first time ever last night, but I believe this is our first day after show ever with all five of us all here. And we're all here. How's everyone doing?
Sweet.
Top notch.
Yeah, I think we should go to D first here. I'm doing fantastic.
We're all doing great. We're having a great day. Red Rocks was absolutely wonderful last night. We did the show together. It was absolutely lovely. But we got the Colorado folk. Just everyone's here. It just feels good.
Feeling good. I took a show day nap today.
Yeah,
I'm just feeling great. I'm fresh from the shower. This is
great. Yeah, shower was key. A nap might be in order after the pod. We'll see.
Yeah. Well, no, the Wi-Fi did not check out in Hap's shower, unfortunately. So Neil is doing it from the living room here. This is also not only just the first day after show with all five of us here, but it's also the first day after show in front of a live studio audience. We've got Haps and Josh on the couch behind us. They might be eating Sammy's. We're not sure. But
I hope they mock when it's appropriate and throw things when it's appropriate. If it's even called for.
They've got last night's hot tea on in the background, so if you hear that, that's what's going on.
There we
go. But we're gonna get going. We've got some guests coming on today. One of them is not here just yet, but one of them is Miss Megan. Hi, Megan.
Hey everyone, how are you?
Hello, Megan.
Oh, claps. Wow. Thanks, guys. I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me. This is a real honor, especially to be with all of you. This is amazing.
Yeah, it's very exciting. This is the second episode of Always Almost Megan. We had one during Taboo's tour last fall.
Oh, God, that was so fun. That was
like
so
four
much
of us
fun.
and you. And so, welcome back to the shit show.
Oh, God, I love being here. Thanks so much for having me. I'm still feel like I'm working my way up to earning being on this show, so hopefully I'll put in a good showing today. We'll see.
All right.
Fingers crossed.
We did an HF pod during Taboos too, didn't we?
That was so fun. We did like collabs, right? The whole thing.
Yeah.
Did we do them like?
Yes.
Yeah, that was super fun.
Yeah,
that was so much fun.
We have a great show to talk about last night. Obviously, I think we all had so much fun last night. But let's go around. Everyone. Going into the show, Megan. Let's start with you. How are you feeling before the show tomorrow? You hadn't been at Red Rocks in a very long time.
Yeah, I haven't been in Red Rocks in 27 years, which I know is crazy because I'm 28, but it's been a long time. And it was amazing. Vibes were super high. I actually went in with a college friend who was the last person I left Red Rocks with like 27 years ago. And we just were having so much fun telling stories about Red Rocks. And it was a beautiful day. I got off the plane, got my rental car. I was like, why don't I live here? It's so gorgeous here. I was like blasting music, driving down these beautiful Colorado roads. And I was just, vibes were high all day. And I went in and met Brian Brinkman for the first time. I hadn't met him yet, even though we've been potting together for 2 years. That was a special moment. And then I immediately was told by him that since I had early entry, I was in charge of holding down all of our spots, which you guys know Brian, he doesn't fuck around. So I was very, very stressed about it. But I went in, I got the spots, I secured them, and all was good. We had the greatest crew up there. There was like 12 of us up there just raging the kind of dead center, like right above like Peter, like right above him, about like halfway up. So you have like the view, with Denver in the background, all the lights, the moon coming up. It was magical night. I had the best time, and I cannot believe I get to do it again tonight.
That's awesome.
Isn't it crazy how little Red Rocks has changed in all those years too? I mean, the place just doesn't change.
No, it's so true. It was exactly how I remembered it, except I was on a lot less acid.
I was at those shows.
There you go.
I was at those shows with you all those years ago.
No way. That's awesome.
Little known fact is that, B was actually at the first ever shows at Red Rocks when it first opened.
1952.
Yeah, exactly. Like all those years ago. And so it still hasn't changed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Unlike Megan, I'm 157 years old.
And it's the pickleball you have to thank for your spry appearance.
Yes.
Wow. I'm going to start taking up pickleball.
the pickleball Jesus.
Yeah. Speaking of pickleball, B, let's go to you next. Your show day yesterday. This is your first, because you don't leave the state of Colorado. This is your first show since Goose missed. So, what were you like yesterday? How are you feeling?
I was feeling good. So came in Wednesday night. Ryan and I had some beers and a little bit of food. Got a good night's sleep. Hit the courts yesterday morning. That was good. Yep. Ran into some people I know, and but yeah, we got down there. I actually got in line just solo, and then I was going to meet up with a bunch of people later. But my good buddy Brian Treese on
Nice,
Twitter, that I think a lot of you guys know. He's one of my closest and oldest friends. So we were in line together, met a couple kids, Dan and Brandy from Salt Lake, who made a last minute decision after hitting the Salt Lake show. I think that was her first show and his like second. And they were immediately 100% sold.
That's
so
awesome.
Dude was just full of questions,
You had
answers.
He had the encyclopedia.
I had all the answers. Yeah. I had my answers. A Philly night too was the answer.
That's always the answer. Always.
So the time in line was, went by fairly quickly, and it was really fun. I had a lot of great chats. Ryan Legvold found me in line. Aspen Mike found me in line. So we had a great time. Got in and met the Storm family for the first time, which was amazing. And I couldn't even name you all the names of just Twitter folk and other people that we kind of saw immediately upon entry. So it's always so awesome to see everybody and get hugs and so just feeling great from the moment of coming in. I mean, just ready to go. So.
Yeah. Amazing. Well, as you can all see, we are joined by our other very illustrious special guest today. Brian Brinkman's here. And we do have a great question from the chat from McGrupp. Who's covering Fish Tour?
Yeah.
That would be Jonathan.
McGrupp, this is amazing advertising opportunities, cross-pod promotion here. We will be doing quick hits day after each Fish show. We don't know the time because we never know the time. We will be doing one tomorrow at some point. I have to listen to the show after tonight's Goose show, but we will be doing a quick hit throughout the entire Fish fall run. It's not a tour. Remember, 8 shows is not a tour. It is a run. We will be doing quick hits. We're very excited about that.
Well, luckily, Fish Tour doesn't start until tonight, so we can talk about Goose.
This is not a Fish podcast. As we like to say on the Fish podcast, this is not a Goose podcast. This is a Goose podcast.
and just for everybody's information, all podcasts are derivative. So
this is,
there you go.
We just end up talking about the same content.
It's true.
Before Brian talks about his night, Brian, I've never seen you in just a t-shirt. This is like unbelievable. Who are you right now? Who are you?
This is a lucky day for everyone. So I got 3 hours of sleep last night. I'm like seeing a show in my hometown, which means I get to. It's also a pickleball podcast. That's great.
It is.
I got to get up, help get my kids out of the house to school, and I got to take the car into the mechanic shop. Everything was okay, but the check engine light was on, and that's always a scary moment. We're all good. And then I took the dogs to the open space park, and I came home and I passed out, and I just woke up. This is like the least prepared that I've ever been to join a podcast, but we're here. We're doing it.
Well, that puts you on par for AAT standards, so welcome.
I was going to say
this is the same level.
This is like akin to Goose taking 50-minute set breaks. It works.
Yeah. Right. Well, let's throw it over to you. Brian. This is your first Goose show since Goose missed as well. As another member of today's podcast that doesn't leave the state of Colorado. How are you feeling going into the show yesterday?
I was excited. It's Red Rocks. It's October. It's like an amazing time of year here in Colorado. There've been some, excellent jams throughout this fall tour that I was excited to hear what the sound in some of those jams, specifically like that Vegas Elizabeth, that space that they found, the thatch from Missoula, not Bonner, that kind of darkness that they found there. I was really excited to like hear some of that and how that would translate to Red Rocks. I was also excited to hear like last year's Red Rocks show was such a monumental moment in this band's history. I don't think it was the best show per se, but it felt like a really, really big moment. And I was excited to hopefully see them take the stage, having already played Red Rocks. That pressure's off. They came back 4 months later. They played a stadium here in Colorado. They played this, huge spring tour. They play SPAC. Like there's a lot of check marks that have already been checked off over the last year. I was hoping to have them walk in and play, kind of a more relaxed, just a Goose show. It doesn't have the significance of last year, and that's kind of a cool thing. And so had a bunch of friends in town, was able to meet my podcasting co-host Megan for the first time in person. RJB was flying out. Ryan, I was hoping to see you for about 3 minutes because I knew you knew about 9,400 of the people in the venue. So, just all around really, really good vibes walking in.
Yeah, definitely. All right. And Dee and Kev, you guys were together yesterday getting to the show. How are you guys feeling?
Great day. Kev was working, so he was so kind to lend his Jive 1 mobile to me, and got to shoot around town. Met B for lunch, some good food, regroup, headed up. Yeah, it was great. I mean, it was a nice day. I think it was sort of this like wondering how cold it's going to be. What's it going to be like? Obviously it's clear, so it's going to be a little crispier. But I felt, the weather was really nice. Just a beautiful night. Being up here this time of year is really special for sure. And yeah, pretty easy. I mean, we walked up, what was it, Upper South, Kev? And it took a little longer. I mean, but as we were saying, we sort of had somewhere to go, so it worked out, not having to feel like we're rushed. And just so excited to see everybody. I think that was just sort of a lot of the anticipation of it all.
That's it for me almost entirely, D. I was working yesterday, very, very stressful day, and to be able to transition away from that so quickly once we got into Red Rocks and just seeing people and the vibe being so relaxed, it was a great transition from work to, all right, let's get into this. Let's have some fun. Let's enjoy each other's company, and let's listen to this great band play just fantastic music.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yes came to play. This pod is going to be very long. Buckle in, people. If you hadn't figured that out already. Neil and I had a great day yesterday. We're staying at the best Airbnb in existence, the Hap House.
Wait, the Goose Frat House, you mean?
There he is, Casa de Haps.
The Goose Frat House.
The live studio audience is clapping for that.
Yes, exactly.
It's like Jojo Casa Goose House or something. Jojo Mojo Casa Goose House.
Yeah, I know.
Goose Dojo.
We had a great time.
Yeah.
Headed over to the venue around 3. Got in line, hung out with some people. Just enjoyed the vibe. And then got in and saw you guys, which was amazing. Took some pictures, and really just we got ready for the show. It was awesome.
I mean, it was amazing. The vibe was so high last night. I just there were an uncountable amount of people to talk to give hugs to. Brian and Megan, I didn't get a chance to meet you guys last night. Hopefully I get to see you tonight. But I mean, it was
make that happen.
Bursting with joy last night. Seeing these guys all together, haven't seen Kevin in a couple of years. So, I mean, it was just amazing. It was almost overwhelming, the amount of how much I just wanted to go and see people and say hi. And I don't know, it was just a great show.
Yeah.
Because so many people I know and love were there. And it was just, it was awesome.
Yeah. Well, let's dive into this show a little bit here. And I think rather than doing our usual kind of round robin format, I think we'll just kind of jump around. People can throw in where they want, so this pod isn't 3 hours long. But let's start with the first kind of segment of this first set here: Killing Moon, SOS, Atlas Dogs, Turbulence. Would anybody like to lead us off here?
I just want to say about Killing Moon. I'll just jump in really quickly and say that I think it's the perfect opener. Like when they opened the Montana show with it, I was texting Brian and RJ about it and talking about how this is like a great way to add variety to their set lists with really good covers, and opening with that is such a great spot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I love The Killing Moon. And so it immediately struck me. I was a little bit surprised when they went into it. And it what's really interesting to me is, well, first off, they hadn't played it since they debuted it, at the Halloween show at the Farms. And now they've played it 3 times in 11 shows. And I'm not sure, I haven't checked the data. Maybe Ryan can, or Vickers. I don't know that they've played the same cover 3 times in 11 shows ever.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was really, really interesting. They all of a sudden love this song again. And it is such a great cover. I was super excited to see it. And yeah, I mean, I thought it's got some really great, big arena rock, almost kind of guitar riffs.
Mhm.
And so, yeah, it was kind of a big indie rock, kind of kickoff to this show. And it kind of set the tone energy wise for that whole first set.
I agree. I loved hearing Killing Moon last night. Not a song I've listened to a ton, Goose or otherwise, but yeah, been in rotation this tour, and that's a really good point about have they ever played a cover 3 times in 11 shows. That's an incredibly short gap, and an interesting cover to pick there. But it was definitely a cool way to start off the night.
And like
you could see that.
Go ahead, Dave.
Okay, you could see. I feel like and I said it last night. I mean, 3 times. It feels like they probably wanted it one more time, in prep for this. Obviously, knowing that they wanted to probably open the show with it. I mean, it seems like just getting it, sounding good. And I thought, yeah, it's a great opener. Very I love that 80s Euro rock is incredible. It was proper fitting. Very the night just made it work, and then kind of just flowed through the rest of those opening 4 tracks. And SOS, you could kind of feel that Dawn. It was they're gonna split this up, and I thought the Atlas followed by Turbulence was a little interesting. Sort of 2 songs we would expect to see maybe on their own in the first couple tracks, but to have both back to back. But I think it was just kind of some songs warming up. Rick was getting into it. He was kind of dancing around, jumping from side to side, he was a lot more animated last night. And yeah, I liked it. It was great, just settling in. I think they were playing well from the start. A little more songy.
Yeah, bizarre set listing, right? You get Killing Moon to open up the show, then you get what would close the first set typically, right? In SOS. And then you get the openers, right? You get the traditional
2 of them too.
and Turban and Atlas Dogs. So yeah, bizarre.
Yeah, first set.
Yeah, it was the point of the odd set listing. It kind of threw me off a little bit throughout it. I really liked Atlas and Turbulence back to back. Just from a pure song standpoint, I think that those are 2 of the best early first set songs. Every time I see Atlas Dogs versus every time I hear it, just while listening to a show, it's a completely different experience. It's like a full band attack, especially towards the end there. Really showcases Ben's drumming in a really cool way. And Turbulence,
Tom's.
Turbulence, that chorus, I'd seen it once at Goose Miss, but having it here at Red Rocks, under an open sky, it sounded like everyone around me was just belting out the chorus. And that's just such a cool moment for a band like this that is still gaining. They're still gaining new fans. They're still gaining people who aren't familiar with this catalog, but you have people around here with an original song like this that is, being treated with such regard and such love. It felt like until Bob Don, Goose is so good at, they set the table and then they throw you into a jam, second or third song into a show. It's a thing I love about them from a structural standpoint. You didn't really get that until Bob Don started to have a little bit of space towards the end with the With tag on, the Dawn that came after, Pancakes with a little bit more of an edge towards the end of it. And then, So Ready closer. So it felt a little like they were really setting the table. Whereas I kind of would have thought they would have come in this late in the tour and thrown something down earlier on, but it didn't happen.
Bob Don.
Bob Don.
Thank you to Josh, who noticed that at set break last night, which is just a great bit. And
Love that.
they put Bob into Don on the set list. It was definitely done on purpose, which I think is pretty funny. But I'd like to throw it over to our resident Bob Don expert, Kev, to talk about this segment here.
Oh man, just thrilled to be in attendance for that. I mean, we were talking about vibes when we did our initial, round introducing the show here, and yeah, it was just, man, play that for me all night long. I just wanted to live in that jam all night. Fantastic.
And they played the With for you, Kev. We know it was for you.
I don't think it was for me, but I appreciate it very much. Yeah,
it was for you.
You missed Goose Miss. They did that one for you.
Yeah, it was the
COVID. We were all together for that.
COVID makeup for me. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, and it was the first true With. I mean, because as Ryan, Peter indicated that they did it in Milwaukee, and I was there, and there was just some elements, but there was no, expansion of it. It was basically like 30 seconds of sort of this allusion to With. So it was good to see it get stretched out. I think it was perfect. It felt that song coming after the segment though that we just said, it's sort of like ties into what Brian was saying. I think it just like it didn't. I would have wanted Bob Don after a big, jam. Sort of that's like our breather, our cool down. Yeah, our landing pad. And it just, that was odd. I think the configuration was a little off. Played very well though. And then into Dawn was good.
Yeah, it felt like Rick really dug in a little bit extra on the Bob Don solo than he normally does, which was amazing. It's just such a great song. And then Dawn was an incredible follow-up to that, going right into it, just going right for the, again, Brian, you said Under an Open Sky. That song is so good in a setting like that. I know you're the biggest SOS fan on the planet here, and so I'm can't wait to hear your thoughts about it. I heard that Brian was saying that he saw like Jesus Christ rising above Red Rocks last night during Dawn. It was a beautiful moment.
The rapture.
There's nothing I love more about following jam bands than when they purposely troll me. I had the best time during SOS. It's not my favorite song. I have issues with it. They'll be for another pod. It'll be for the SOS dedicated podcast. Being there with RJ, getting texts from you, Ryan, laughing in my face that they played at the second song of the show was a brilliant moment. Like I'll say, just to like preface, like for the whole show, like if I wasn't at this show and I was just listening to this show, it's not my favorite Goose show. I don't think like set list wise, flow wise, it totally worked. There were some really cool moments, but it was one of those like shows where them throwing down a song that kind of like just gets at me in that like uncomfortable spot in the second slot was just like a really fun moment among friends. Ending the show with Flow Down, a song that I will die on a hill for loving, that you guys all hate. Like it was so fitting. The whole show was just like it was like an inside joke, weird. Which is the type of reason why you follow these bands.
Yeah, like we have this text chain with Ryan, RJ, me, and Brian, and it's just like the songs that we debate about. It's the best because we all argue about songs, and every song that we debate about, they played last night. It was just like, so it just felt like they were like inside of our heads. It was really creepy. Yeah.
I think they were trolling all of us to some level.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Labyrinth, sorry to jump the gun, but.
Could I just real quick? I don't want this to turn into an SOS thesis pod, but could you just? I can't get past this. Can you give me a quick feats of strength rundown of why you don't like SOS?
My simplest reason is it is a meeting that could have been an email. It's got segments, but does it need the segments? It's got the peak, but everything has the peak with Goose. Like that's that's part of the reason we do all this. I don't particularly love the shenanigans part at the front. It's never really clicked for me. I've gotten versions sent to me by Ryan Storm. He has annotated these and like gone through it. For whatever reason, that doesn't click, but you know what does click? And we're going to get to it. The fucking Labyrinth.
Okay. All right.
Oh my God. We are not there. We're not there yet.
And I don't want to go there. And I think at that point, And at that point, we should all just hop off and listen to Jive and Brian talk this out.
Yeah, exactly.
I think we may do that when we get there. But let's close out this first set here with Pancakes and So Ready. Pancakes gives us our first, kind of big jam of the night, or medium-sized jam of the night. Nice clav work from Peter and here, of course. You all watched me very exuberantly clav tweet.
Clam.
I was excited about it. Yeah.
I didn't see that because as soon as So Ready started, you left your seat.
I was talking Pancakes. And Neil and I'm not ashamed to admit it. Neil and I went to the bathroom as soon as So Ready started. We met Kev over by the garbage cans. It was a beautiful moment.
We're too slow. And if you have the sexiest song in the world with the sexiest lyrics, why would you play it fast? It just doesn't make
All right.
Whoa.
You men can have it
Studio
fast if you
audience
want
doesn't like it.
The women want
likes
it
it
slow.
slow and
Just
sensual.
FYI. Yeah.
Oh,
The men,
yeah.
men can have it fast if you want it. It's fine.
So this is what
Why not?
RJ wanted us to read on the pod today. Thank you, Megan, for
This is what he said to me during So Ready too, by the way. This is a hot take in the moment.
Where is the mess? Oh, here we go. So Ready is what men think sex is like. Slow Ready is what women think sex is like. And that is RJ's contribution to today's pod.
Nice.
And the labyrinth is what it really is like.
Jive, we know way too much about sex together. This is I'm so into this conversation.
Very
Just layers
prescriptive.
Oh my God.
Composed.
Lots of segments that go nowhere. God, I hope not.
Very, very composed ahead of time.
No exploration, no play.
Whoa.
Whoa.
We're not in the second set yet. We'll get to the labyrinth.
This is a family pod.
I know, sorry.
And we
Goose
skipped
makes
Pancakes.
me feel a certain way. But I will say that is a little bit.
Was good.
That is a little bit of kind of my feeling about this show. I feel like the first set sounded really tight and really you can hear that this is the end of a really strong tour where they've been playing a lot. And I think they sounded really tight, really fast. The pace was just really high energy. And I loved that. I think playing two songs like SO.
There's that hotel Wi-Fi.
Hotel Wi-Fi.
Hotel Wi-Fi. Officially
come
Where
right
we
back.
have the big song and going away. Oh, sorry. Was I gone for a minute?
Yeah, we dropped you for a
Okay,
minute.
sorry. Yeah, I just think that the flow was
And there she goes again.
be kind of
This is unfortunate. When
I feel like Brian keeps
Uh-oh, my phone,
muting her every time she brings up SOS.
That's what's really happening.
Did I cut out? Am I
I
back?
just kept hitting the next
Just
track
as
button.
you're about to
Yeah.
get to your main point, it cuts out.
Crushing. So crushing.
All right. Well, does anyone else want to add anything in here about this Pancakes or So Ready before we press on?
This Pancakes was nothing special, but it ripped. It was fun. It was a ton of fun.
Mhm.
That's a killer song in front of multiple thousands of people. The clapping, the way it all comes in, from a pure song and jam standpoint, that song rules in my book.
Yeah, it was. We were eager for a jam in this set, right? I think we're all kind of hitting on that, and when we finally got it, and I thought it was going to be a huge Pancakes like we used to get last year. Didn't work out that way. We were kind of still left wanting for jams when this set ended, and when they went into So Ready. So, thank you for the call out for just bailing on the set during So Ready. But I was like, there will be no jams, so I'm going to go to the bathroom and get a beer. This is the perfect opportunity because no one will be there. So I win, and then I had one of my best moments at the show, hanging out with Kev just on the side.
By the garbage can.
By the garbage cans.
Garboose, dude.
Garboose.
Yeah.
Hey, Neil, come on, man. The So Ready had a little extra mustard on it. Okay?
It did have a little extra mustard.
And
But
I
I
still
enjoyed
heard
that mustard from the
I
start.
was going to say, I could hear it. And I went to start trying to locate you, Brian and Megan and RJ during So Ready. But I got a couple of good pictures from up higher, where you guys were, enjoyed that, saw a couple of people I knew. And then I found you guys during set break, which was fun.
I think we found you.
Yeah.
Actually, what happened?
Yeah. You located me after I couldn't find you.
It's a reconnaissance mission.
Yeah, it was good. And then I spent the second half of set break leading RJ down to come say hi to everyone else, which was
boy,
an experience unto itself.
Amazing.
But it was great. It was great. Does anyone else get up to anything exciting at set break last night, or just more just amazing schmoozing and amazing vibes?
Nothing super exciting at set break, but I it's hard to pass, talking about this music without mentioning what Getty was doing with his light rig on those rocks last night. And again, we're talking about the music here, but I hope everybody had a chance to stop and just look at what that dude was doing, because it was magic.
Yeah.
The thumbprints.
I agree.
One where it's like the lines.
Yes.
Like I think the thumbprints.
Well, and
would
also
get like really small, and then they would like be all encompassing on the rocks.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
And I would encourage anyone, wherever you are in the venue tonight, if you're there, take a second and look behind at the big rocks on either side, because he was painting those with all sorts of patterns as well throughout the show, which was so cool.
I loved how he was like sometimes distilling it down to like very few lights, but then like blasting it other times. It like really adds such like a, an emotion to it, that he's just an artist. It's incredible. Seeing him at Red Rocks is like nothing else. It's awesome.
Yeah, the lights show during the Labyrinth was another element of that song that really elevated it to.
We're not there yet.
We're just
Brian, you're gonna get the first word when we get to that song.
I can't wait.
Take it away.
Ryan will cut you out again.
Yeah.
Yeah, seriously.
I may. Let's start with
Jive. Yeah, Jive. I was gonna say Jive is like saving all of his talk time to engage with this Labyrinth conversation.
And Shama just kidding.
Yeah, so you guys project more negative. You put more negativity in my mouth than actually comes out of my mouth.
I was about to say, I wanted to throw it to you here to start the second set for this Creature Shama, because you were raging during Creatures. Like, man, you were going hard. It was a great sight to see the Jive Goose enjoying himself at a show.
Yeah, lots of enjoyment. I mean, the whole first set, we were all having that was so much fun. I mean, this is the whole thing, right? About being at a show versus catching a show on the couch. You know what I mean? It's like,
totally.
Sometimes I think I don't go to as many shows, as some of these guys. I spend my money on other stuff, but yeah, I mean, being there and. We talk about the vibes, but it's 100% true. I mean, I just was having so much fun just being with all of you guys, and set break. Shout out to Lisa, Ryan's mom. She's the snack queen. She was pulling snacks out of this bag, and it wasn't ending.
No, it doesn't end. It's been that way my entire life. It's amazing.
Yeah, and I thought I had a pretty good collection of snacks myself. So I had my show slice.
The show slice.
I introduced Neil to some vegan jerky.
It's delicious. Astonishingly delicious.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So anyway, as expected, things tightened up. By the time set 2 started, and so. But yeah, Creatures kicked off, and I mean, it was a big party down there again, and everybody was having a really good time. And yeah, I mean, I was having a great time. It was, again, I mean, we say this, maybe it's not going to be playlist worthy or whatever, but I mean, that was a pretty hot Creatures, and it had a really nice jam. And then they segued into something.
What did they segue into? B?
What was it? Some cover? Was it a cover?
Baby.
It wasn't.
Baby.
That is why.
Was somebody? Did somebody get married?
That was my first Shama.
Me too.
Brian loves the Shama.
I love the
fun.
Shama.
So fun.
Give me Motown Rick any day of the week. It's
a fun song.
Mm-hmm. So fun to dance to.
Yeah, I thought the Creatures too. It had a little. Started out with you had sort of the vibes, Peter kind of pulling away, but then I felt a little more Rick led, guitar heavy. I almost felt it had like kind of like a country twang on it. I mean, I'll have to re-listen to it again, but it was like it felt a little different than most versions lately. And I feel like, as we know, Creatures is kind of a song that's maybe needs to find its way again in terms of sort of some of the jams. I think that, they tried the arpeggiator, but we think back to, 2021, some great versions, or some will hold Legend Valley and High Accord. But yeah, but it's just a song I feel like that kind of has lost its way a little bit. And then Shama is fun, but it just sort of adds this element of being sort of like packaged. It's they're looking for that transition. So by the end, it's kind of like the jam is being forced into that way. And yeah, great for the crowd. We can have our own opinions about it, but I mean, what?
I think that's a really good point though, about like the kind of almost like the forced segue, because I feel like that's happened quite a bit this tour, where there's a cover, there's a moment they want to get to, and so you do get this strange sacrifice of a musical space that could be explored and further developed. Like I'm two sides of this. Like genuinely, I love that cover. I've always loved hearing it. It was one of those things that, like, when I first started listening to this band, just being like, my God, these guys pull covers out of everywhere. And they just like, they know the sound that they work well with. I totally get if you've been to 50 plus Goose shows at this point in time, you've heard it a bunch of times. It's just whatever. I have a ton of Fish songs like that. So I'm of two minds of, like, towards the end of Creatures, I think someone was saying it here in the chat that, like, it really smoked and it really got into a cool area, and it sounded like there was a transition to another jam space that would have been slightly unique for Creatures, and instead we get a cover. So like in the moment, you're really happy. On the other side of it, like, what's the unknown musical space we could have heard last night? That's just like, that's the weird magic of all of this.
And Brian, you sort of alluded to it earlier, like the band's still like continuing to grow their fan base. And there are those clunky, what I'll describe as clunky moments sometimes, where they don't go into that exploratory space and, feel that out and flesh it out to see what's there. But I always like to be the voice of like the every fan, and to remind these guys that sometimes they're just playing songs to play songs for fans. And sometimes it's not about those jams, even though that's what we talk about here.
Hashtag even Kev. Neil?
Yeah, we're there for the jams.
That's actually like a really good point, I think, because you think a lot about how, like, when we look at a band that we're listening to like every show, and you think that like you're looking for that really like patient, exploratory, like really interesting stuff that they can do, especially since a lot of us are Fish fans and we are so discerning and our expectations for jams are just through the roof. And I think this band is why we love it, is they're showing us they can deliver that at times, and that they have this, like, obviously a million other reasons, but their jamming is something that is spaces I'm really interested in learning more about and like hearing more. So I'm really like wanting them to jam more. And so, but you're right, you're playing your first night at Red Rocks, the second time you've played there, like, you probably want to play some songs and not spend 40 minutes on a drip field, which is what we're going to get tonight, which is going to be great. But,
40-minute drip field. Wow.
Yeah.
25.
Yeah, I'll take 40 minutes.
With some crowd noise. It's fine.
You'll get Hunger Sight and you'll like it.
Yeah.
No,
Sorry,
like one.
Brian, I don't want to
Okay, go ahead.
I've been trying to talk for like 5 minutes, and you've been very nice.
No, it's good.
You're going to talk now.
Now I have nothing great to add. I mean, Creatures was good. In this conversation about like finding spaces, they were finding actually some pretty good space in this Creatures, and then it does peter out, which again, just coming back to this feeling of like we just wanted the jams, and like we just weren't getting the jams in this show. So, hopefully the jams are tonight.
I would hope maybe it's a loosening up. I think we often see, right, like you said, Philly night 2, whatever, but a lot of 2-show runs, second night Legend Valley 21, like it's sort of that comfort of settling in, and that expectation, right? You're building up to this massive show that you sort of have high expectations of these people, and I definitely was guilty of maybe expecting a little bit more, like we said, on some of the exploration space, but it kind of felt like last year where it was like sort of a lot of songs, a lot of energy, very well played, but just sort of not really taking those big risks.
No Scucks Life last night though.
Yeah.
Pardon?
No Scucks Life last night though.
No.
I don't think you'll
Did
see
we
that.
get 3 covers? What was it, 4 last year, or we had 3 in the second set last year, Brian?
Yeah, 3 covers.
That was 3 in the second set. Well, that didn't happen at least. So
yeah. Well, let's continue on with the second set here. Let's go Feel It Now and This Old C. Feel It Now continues to be a great second set song. I feel like, though, at that point in the set after Shama, again, we were looking for a jammer to come out next. And so Feel It Now is good, kept the dance party vibe going. But again, it was like we need a little bit more of the unknown here. So again, still having a great time. Vibes were high, fun to dance to. But yeah, looking for the jam. But This Old C, coming out, just obviously one of my favorite songs. I think everybody can agree that it's one of the best songs in the Goose catalog. And the first jam to This Old C since Mexico in January. Very, very exciting to see come back. It was an excellent version. We got some nice Zeppelin-y jamming, some Moby Dick CCP action. It was excellent. Some in our group thought it was Heartbreaker, and it was not.
An instant correction after that, but
you were right. We said
it was in the Led Zeppelin zone,
Yeah. But this was a great jam. Peter, having like an excellent organ solo, and then Rick taking the lead, and just like in the first set, he just didn't want to let go of the peak. He just kept going and going and going, and the energy again just was so high all night. You get some shows that you play, like lighter on jams may feel lower energy. Last night was high energy show while being lighter on jams. So it didn't feel like, oh, there's Feel It Now, another song that we know is not going to jam. We know what's going to happen. And people weren't excited about it. People were still really excited about Feel It Now. And
I just wish it would jam.
Yeah.
Same.
It's we have the pack, it's got a prepackaged, little jam in it, but it's right there. They reworked it a little bit too, as we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it sounded one of the better versions since the rework. But just now just hoping for it to let go one time.
Yes, we did get a rare standing Jeb last night a few times. It was
and
pretty
two
cool.
gongs.
2 gongs?
2. Mm-hmm.
There was the mini gong happening.
Ooh,
I never
gong.
remember where they were. I tweeted them so you can, see what time it was, but I have no idea.
There was a gong tweet. Anyone else want to talk about this Feel It Now, This Old C here? I'm sure.
I wanted to talk about This Old C really quickly, just saying that this is one of the reasons I love Goose and I go to see Goose is their ability to tap into deep emotion. I think that so few jam bands can do that. And this song, just to hear this song played at Red Rocks was just absolutely stunning and just crushed me. This song is I don't know. It's a rare person that can write lyrics like this that are just so classic like this and can touch anyone at any point in their life. And it just blew me away. And the jam this was my high point of the show. I thought it was just so perfect. I was waiting for them to slow down. The whole show is kind of I want to hear, I love their ballads. I love when they really get slow, and Rick's emotion. I thought he's playing with such emotion right now. And hearing it in a song like this really gets highlighted. I love it. This is my favorite point.
Not just the writing, but man, obviously the guy's got the voice of an angel.
Well, that's the thing.
Gosh,
The emotion that he can sing with is just unbelievable. And even I think that now after hearing the Autumn Crossing EP and the emotion that he's bringing out in the studio is just fucking believable. And I'm so excited because I can hear that coming out on stage too. And it's I mean, he's just going to continue to build that, and it's exciting.
Yeah. And Rick was also 13 when he wrote This Old C.
I don't know how that's possible. I have a 13-year-old daughter, and she does not have that emotional depth. I'm not trying to knock her, but
not everyone's
that's
Rick.
Incredible.
Hope she's not listening.
Yeah.
Don't worry, she's not.
So
Or
lead
no one
up
in my
to
family
writing
listens to
about breakups.
my voice.
Mom, I don't care about your podcast.
No.
So wait,
No,
go ahead.
Neil, talk.
No, so
Jinx.
This Old C, this jam this is just weird. It's one of the jam highlights of the night, but it wasn't really a jam necessarily. It just felt like a really, really big, really fucking awesome guitar solo.
Yeah.
But that's how so many of the jams felt last night. I felt
Yeah. And this one exemplifies all of that. It's all in here. And yeah, I mean, Rick was playing incredible. I was joking around at the show and maybe a little bit after the show, I was saying it was Rick's Prague Ghost, and nobody took the bait and got really mad at me. But
I just told you that it was late at night and you should not be saying things like that.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, excellent guitar playing, but at the same time, hitting on this theme that we're getting at, like we wanted jams, and like this wasn't. It was a jam, right? It was an extended improvisation thing, but it was mostly just Rick and Rick going hard, but it was cool.
Yeah, the Rick gazing jamming of late, I would love to get back towards, and we've had it in moments for this tour, but like that really democratic full band jamming, we would get that in a composition following this old C, but more on that later. But one of my buddies who I was with kind of elbowed me during the This Old C jam and was like, this sounds like something that would be played in a sound check. And it had that kind of like loose energy of like, there's nobody in front of us. We're just jamming as a band kind of in a room where like, someone's kind of checking levels, someone's checking their gear. And, Rick is the center of this all. He's going off. And as a result, he just like kept going. I mean, it's a nearly 20-minute version of the song. I think, when you comp this to the version that was played in January, that one kind of gotten more of like a, kind of hypertension type of really cool, like rhythmic sort of section. A lot of the ones from 2021 and 2022 were full band jamming more than anything. And to your point, Megan, like I love that Goose can jam out ballads. That's something that like, speaking of, the Fish comps, like that's something that for whatever reason, Fish just avoids like the plague. They refuse to jam out ballads, even the ones that have really cool space and really cool opportunities for jamming. Goose leans into that. And that's a really cool thing where you get this emotion and you get the full songwriting, but then you get the jam off of it. It was just great to see like this song get that treatment again, even if, to your point, Neil, I'm in full agreement. It wasn't like a full jam that I'm going to go back to and try to like analyze and try to figure out what's going on here.
Mm-hmm. So, Brian, I was going to kind of touch on something similar. Just the juxtaposition of this beautiful, beautiful song, and then you fast forward 10 or 15 minutes, and Rick's just shredding, and it's a locomotive at that point. And so it's really crazy. And we literally had the guy behind us last night, I think 2 different times. Is this still This Old C?
Yeah.
I love that. That's the best.
Yeah. But it goes to 2 completely different spaces. And yeah, I mean, I love the song. I've always loved the song from the first time I heard it. I think it is truly one of the most gorgeous ballads that they do, and they can bring it down so soft, and they're very delicate with it, and also in a big spot like Red Rocks, it's really cool to see that. It's really cool to see them approach something with such kind of softness, and then have this explosive jam afterwards. So yeah, definitely probably for me, I think easily the highlight of set 2. Definitely.
Yeah.
Not Brian's highlight of set 2.
Can we talk real quick about the 2.5 Men vibe that's going on?
2.5 Men.
Oh man,
that is so good. I have to say, I joined
3.5
before
Men,
just so I could actually like hear this banter. They were hilarious. It was like a sitcom over there.
We're having a good time here at the Habs House.
Yeah.
But we now.
Breakfast.
Who else you hiding back there, man?
What?
Who else you hiding back there?
So
I'm gonna give a quick shout out for all my criers out there, because This Old C got me last night.
That's right.
And shout out to all my criers. I'm one of them. It took me down last night.
Fucking Jesse.
It's that combo of like everything
Jesse.
and then the last line when you realize
Yeah,
you gotta
I
go
know.
through all this. But like every time you hear that live, you're like, fuck.
Yep.
I know. I feel like Goose has so many moments that I like clutch my chest at lyrics. And, I don't really do that when I go to Fish shows. You know what I mean? Like, I just have these moments that I just like feel like I get hit in the heart, like in a way that's just really intense. And I love it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was going to say, we've now reached the point in the show that I think everybody has been waiting
Here it
for.
comes.
And so what we're going to do here,
Not me.
we're gonna put this guy. And Brian, please defend your position here.
Yeah. I'm gonna grab a beer and listen.
Yeah.
I'll keep it really, really simple. It is a fascinating composition. Yes, you're absolutely right, Ryan. It does not have that expected conclusion that one would want at the end of a jam band composition. But I would argue not all compositions need that expected big D major peak that you get out of certain other compositions that Goose has written. It's weird. It gets into musical spaces that you never really hear from them. It's interconnected in a way that makes sense, but also kind of challenges you. I will say the funniest part about this song being played, especially in the placement, and I will argue this was pretty poor placement for a song like this, like deep in a fourth quarter of a show. I don't know if this is exactly where I would have placed it, but as the song would quiet down, people would just like start clapping as the song was over. And then it would begin again. And that was really comical. I don't know, man, it like taps into a love I have for, bands like Genesis, that I'm not saying this reaches that level by any means, so don't come at me, but it taps into a compositional side that is not typically seen with this band. One of the appeals when you get into a band like Fish is, oh my God, how did they write You Enjoy Myself? How did they write Divided Sky? How did they write David Bowie or Foam? You don't have that as much with Goose. One of the things I always loved about Goose was they feel like an indie rock band that also jams. And so you get straighter songs that make more sense and are more accessible, but then go off into really cool jamming spaces, especially in various points of their career. The Labyrinth is the inverse of that. It is a strange song that has been spliced together in a really fascinating way. I think that if you get the placement right, it's truly fascinating. To me, and just to get back to like the last thing I'll say, this compared with SOS to me has very Drift While You're Sleeping vibes. The Labyrinth has very Petrichor vibes. I don't want to hear Petrichor every show, but when I hear Petrichor, like it really, really fascinates. I don't think it touches Time Turns Elastic, but that's another conversation.
Yeah.
All
just
right,
in the vibe and the ability to kind of like suck energy out of the room. But I will say, as like a devil's advocate, I didn't think it was. I think it kind of killed the vibe last night. But I will say, I like that they're taking risks. Mine were too, but I felt like it just. I don't know. I think a band taking a risk, like playing a song like that at Red Rocks, I think should be applauded and is the kind of thing we want to see them doing, because that's risk taking and we want to support risk taking. So I am going to say I didn't love it in the fourth quarter. I didn't love the song. It just didn't have like a narrative arc for me. I didn't get it. I didn't understand like the through line at all, but I had a lot of fun laughing with RJ during it. And I fully support the band doing whatever the hell they want, because I think that actually makes for better shows. So if they want to play it, do it, guys. But it's not my thing. And tea is not like a drink that's known for like resuscitating you. It's more of like a calming drink, but it really like woke me up last night. It like brought us all back to life. And I was really excited for that hot tea. It was super fun.
Definitely brought B back to life. I'll say that.
Hold on a second.
Please.
Because
we got to do the other Brian.
You can't keep doing this to me. Let me. Seriously though, I've been thinking about this, and I'm gonna bring this back around to what Kev was saying earlier. And we do talk about this, that hey, they're not playing these shows for us, and in fact, far from it. I think a lot of times, right? And so I was actually thinking about this first during Shama last night. I kind of started to have these thoughts that I'll share, and then I got a text this morning from a good friend of mine. I don't want to say who it is because I don't want anybody to go at him either. But his one comment to me, he's seen a ton of Fish, and he's now a pretty big Goose fan. His text to me this morning was, "Damn, can we talk about that Labyrinth?" And
what was your response?
And hold on a second. I'm kind of telling you my response right now, right? And so, honestly, I think my response is, it's okay to find joy in other people's joy.
Yeah.
And
compersion.
And so, like during Shama, it was super funny because I could tell there were some people around us that didn't really know Goose, and we're really into Shama, because they know the song, they've heard it at weddings they've been to. And so I was like, that's really cool. You know what I mean? Like it's cool to see other people enjoying things that maybe you don't enjoy so much, but I don't know, maybe sometimes you have to look at yourself and why don't I enjoy this more? But finding joy in other people's joy. It's okay, Jesse.
Good point.
It is possible.
Well, I'd like to go back just a little bit. Megan, you said you were playing devil's advocate when you said the energy was kind of sucked out of the room during Labyrinth. I think Brian is playing devil's advocate in that the energy.
No, I was playing devil's advocate to myself, saying that I thought the energy was sucked out of the room, but I was appreciating the risk they took. That was like me playing the other side.
I certainly agree that it sucked a lot lot out. It was a strange placement for a song that
weird.
A lot of people are unfamiliar with. Is very complex. It's long. Someone said in the chat here, like it was 11 minutes, but it felt like 30. That happens sometimes. Like you're like, when is this song going to end? And to your brain, or like a really long jam where you're like, oh my God, that must have been 25 minutes. And it was like 17 minutes. And
15.
That time is super weird with this sort of stuff. You're not like checking your watch at a show while you're at 1,000 feet elevation and, consuming whatever people are consuming. Like I get that sense. And like when they play something, you and
so
me
much
both.
water.
When they play something that you don't necessarily like, I think to Brian's point, like there are two ways of approaching this. And this is part of the reason why, for me personally, I love having a new band in this jam band sphere to listen to, is sometimes they play something you don't like. And the initial reaction is, this sucks. I don't like this. Why are they doing this? They're ruining my show. The alternative is like, okay, why are they playing this? What's going on here? What is the other person who really digs this? What did they come to music for? Like, there's a lot of stuff to learn about music, even if you don't like it. And I think a song like The Labyrinth, even though it appeals to someone like myself, like there's a reason that those guys are playing it, and it may be tapping into something, subconscious for them musically, or something that we're not going to hear for 4 or 5 years from a musical standpoint. I don't know. I'm rambling a bit, but like that sensation of like something happens, you don't like it. You have a couple choices at a show. And I think to Brian's point, like trying to figure out why they're doing something, trying to accept other people's joy, even if it's not your thing, is a cool part of all of this. Cause it's all like, we have no idea what they're going to play tonight. They could play something we all love. They could play something 6 of the people on this screen love, and one person absolutely hates. And we're like, what is wrong with you? Like that's the vibe of this whole thing.
And again, just speaking joy,
speaking
joy, like Brian's jive, finding joy in other people's joy. I'm always reminded to look at some of these shows. My older sister, my niece, both came on board, a couple of years ago and have become really big fans, but they are not so much as huge into the jamming, again, that some of us are. And so to that point, like there'll be songs that Goose plays that I'm not necessarily a big fan of, and I'll get texts from, the group chat from my sister and my niece, and they're like, holy shit, that was so, whatever song it is was so cool. I enjoyed it so much.
It was Rum.
And
for sure.
And I didn't want to name names here, but again, just finding joy in other people enjoying something that you could pass over, but it's making somebody that you care about very happy. So there's a lot to be said for that.
So speaking of enjoying it, can we talk about Peter on the keys last night in Hot Tea?
And the scatting.
He was loving life.
Oh my goodness. That Hot Tea was unexpected. I actually thought the show was going to end in this Hot Tea.
Yeah, same.
I was like, oh, this is a non-core.
We thought it was 11 o'clock curfew.
Yeah, we thought it was 11.
This is over, this is all we're going to get. And like Rick running off the stage is really weird.
He went to the bathroom.
Did he puke though? What are people saying?
He said something into the talkback mic. Trevor cracked up. Peter gave him a thumbs up, and then he dipped. And so when you got to go, you got to go.
Yeah, crushing one too many Modelo's at Separate.
Yeah, he's hydrating,
Yeah.
Something like that.
Tricky. But no,
was
for
there,
real.
Was there any conversation about this puke thing though? Did he puke?
No. Lucas
okay.
was going off of no evidence.
You're naming names.
Okay. Well,
that's fair. He just doxed them.
Whatever. Neil, you were mid-sentence.
Well, no, I was just talking about how this hot tea was really, really good.
Yeah.
And when Rick ran off the stage, I thought, this is truly bizarre. Like, I don't know what the hell is going on. The wheels are falling off the wagon. The show's going to end any minute now, and Rick has just run off the stage. But like, it was like Peter's moment to shine. He said something, and Rick said something into the talkback mic. Then Peter, like, head down, still playing keyboards, like big thumbs up, like this, and then just absolutely ripped, and then hit everything. Hit the clav. He hit the organ.
Yeah.
He was on the rhythm side.
It was so fun.
And man, it was just like a really amazing Peter moment where he just kind of, we were just talking this whole entire podcast about how Rick is at the center stage and he's like leading a lot of these jams. Then Peter just had a big moment, and I thought that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And it was like the best dance party funk moment of the whole show. So crushed it.
Yeah, they needed to bring the energy way up.
Yeah, this
after
was the labyrinth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was so fun.
During that.
Yeah.
And to be fair, when Rick came back, I mean, he was shredding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think he felt relief, and and then he let loose. That was great.
Right. I will never forget the moment that Rick started hot tea, and I turned to look at you, Brian, and the look on your face. It was a truly beautiful moment.
So joy.
I wish I had a picture.
Pure joy.
Locked eyes.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful moment. But yeah, this was a hot tea. Great way to close the set. And I think at this point you're feeling like, all right, like, we talked a lot about talking about the Flagstaff show, how they were kind of setting up Red Rocks in terms of set lists. Last night felt like it was setting up tonight again, getting stuff out of the way. This flow down encore, similar thing. Like, we're not getting a flow opener tonight. That's not gonna make
Thank goodness.
Big Thatch coming. Big Thatch coming.
You have to wonder though, if Rick didn't have to pee, would they have encored Madhavan?
Yeah, it was on the set list.
Oh, really?
These would have been different.
And no flow on it.
No, it was supposed to be a
audible.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But
it was
hey,
for you,
Brian, were you jumping up and down for joy? The drink flow down.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just keep going with the bad hot takes. I mean, flow down. I don't know how anyone could argue with a bluegrass song that is about party in the woods. It brings a smile to my face.
This chat,
and,
this pod loves bluegrass. I mean, just loves it.
No, I'm a fan. I love the distorted opener. It sounds, like the opening segment is kind of like tapping into it's, apologies for the extended Fish references, but like Bowie and Possums from like the mid 90s where there's just weirdness and like it's all building and building and building, and it gets into the zany zone. I will say RJB and I did conclude last night during it. I did not realize it until last night that it kind of sounds like the music you would hear on a Disney World ride, and that cracked us up big time and may have changed my perspective ever so slightly, but I do enjoy that song.
It's like the fishiest song they play, and I don't know why I don't like it, because I love Fish, but I don't know, it's just disjointed for me. But I had so much fun last night, just like laughing at how like we've been talking about this on our text chain, and then there it is closing the show, and Brian was so
We've
happy.
been over this. You don't like partying in the woods. It's okay.
That's so not true. I grew up in Michigan. That's all I did. I did that when you were in diapers, Brinkman.
Whoa.
Shots fired.
Yeah, it was good. I think you're right. Like, it ended flow down. Once again, taking our opinions out of it. Those are like two fan favorites. I feel like a lot of people like tea. A lot of people like flow down.
Froze at a perfect time.
And it's just I think it just was easy and good. And yeah, like we said though too, I don't want them to play an 8-minute Madhavan, right? So that's the other part.
Yeah, also true.
It's a great call.
So true.
So, and we've seen those throughout times this year where they've truncated Madhavan, and it's just like, let's let it breathe tonight. So, be nice. Fingers crossed.
Sure they will. Yeah, it's gonna be.
Sure they will.
It's gonna be fun. Do we have any thoughts from anyone else on the end of the show here before we wrap up?
So I do have to say I put my picks in before I saw that set list, and so that was kind of a rookie move.
Yep.
No.
But I don't know. I don't think it's guaranteed. I think this is one of those runs where I think they already had a really good idea what they wanted to do tonight. So maybe that doesn't change.
Yeah, all signs are pointing to a set list that we know is coming, and
And
it's gonna be
awesome.
It's going to be big.
Big catch.
Neil
Big
made a
Even-
big
Big catch,
proclamation
big catch,
last
big catch.
night in the car on the way home from the show that if tonight is not an all-timer, he's never seeing Goose again.
Love it.
So
I did say
he
that.
did say
Wow.
that. And so stay tuned tomorrow to find out if Neil will ever be getting to 50 shows.
Hey, can I ask one question before we break here?
Yes.
So similar to the Goosemas run, we have this small college campus show tomorrow night up in Fort Collins, which had, if I recall correctly, it had the debut of Mr. Action. It had Cross-Eyed and Painless, which is fairly rare. I believe there were a few other rare moments. I don't have the set list in front of me, but the Goosemas shows felt like these big blowout 6,000 people in the venue here. Let's play some special underrated, overlooked type of stuff here at the Fox show. How do you think that the Colorado State show is impacting the set list here for tonight's show? If you were like predicting,
I thought they might play Thatch twice last night and tomorrow. Just
Mm.
like,
Space
I
Mouse.
thought the Matavon was going to be saved for
Yep.
the CSU show.
And it could
Me
be.
too.
Yeah, it seemed like they
Hmm.
were lining that up perfectly. When they played the Fast All I Need the other day, it seemed like they were lining up All I Need for either tonight or tomorrow night.
Tomorrow.
So, I
Tonight.
mean, there's big
Tonight.
jammers coming. All the bangers.
Yeah, listen,
Um,
tonight
Yeah.
is Club's night for the 8-point It Burns Within.
Mysterious.
So-
Oh yeah.
That's why I think tonight's actually, from a just talking about fantasy for a minute, I actually think tonight's not quite. I think Dripfield and Thatch, I think everybody's going to have that somewhere in their 8 and 7, one way or the other. But after that, it actually is a little bit tricky because there are a lot of big bangers on the table, and you start looking at those, and you start looking at what was played last year at Red Rocks, and
Mhm.
and are they going to shy away from any of the? I mean, I don't know. I think this is such a big venue for them that I think they are going to repeat things like Arcadia and Hunger Site, maybe Redbird, hopefully not Empress, but yeah, all I Need. And
Mysterious
yeah,
on the table. There's a
so,
lot. Yeah.
Neil, just real quick, Neil, I don't know if you were on the same wavelength as me, but Rick, I'm pretty sure famously kind of hooked in with the Hare Krishna folks during his time up in Fort Collins. So I kind of was linking that, with Madhavan being played there, but I don't know. We'll see.
Good
I
call.
was a little bit surprised to see it on the list last night.
Mm-hmm.
D and I were talking Sandskirt yesterday.
Yeah,
We haven't
Sandskirt.
heard,
Indian
yeah,
River
some-
Sandskirt.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one in a minute.
Yeah,
Oh man,
Coach B skirting.
Skirt.
All right. Well, we have a question from the chat here. Came to play. Let's go around. Everybody say one song that you most want to hear tonight before we wrap up. Thank you for this wonderful suggestion. We can, just because one person says a song doesn't mean you can't. Yes, we are still on Habs. Thank you for asking. We're still going. I mean, Moby, obviously. I want to hear Moby on the rocks.
I mean, who doesn't want to hear Dripfield? I mean, like it's the
Yeah,
number one.
yeah.
Everybody's expecting it. We didn't get it last year.
Yep.
Should be big.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
mention last
Dramatic.
year not playing Dripfield in front of Brian. He might have like flashbacks.
Yeah.
Megan, what about
Yeah.
you?
My dad's coming tonight, and it's his second Goose show, and he's a huge Dripfield guy. So I want him to get a big
Nice.
monster Dripfield, and I also really want to hear Arcadia. It's like the first song that hooked me to Goose, and I haven't heard. I want to hear a big one like that.
Brian? Frankman?
As I'm contractually obligated to do, I have two choices here: one original, one cover. The original, obviously, Dripfield. They've played it so masterfully this year, and just want to hear what that sounds like in that setting. The song that hooked me on Goose was their cover of Inside Out, and I want to
Ooh.
hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please.
We all love
Don't I
that.
think it's been played
Yeah.
too recently, but RJB sent me the Albany 2019 fall 2019 show. I think it's like 1018 or something, and I saw it on the set list, didn't think anything of it, listened to the first set and was like, holy shit, they're covering this song. If this band covers this song, I'm listening to more. And that was like the moment where I jumped in. So I would kill to hear that.
That's also how Neil found Goose. So
Yeah,
It's true.
That's true.
Yeah, spooning.
big spoon guy.
Love
Yeah.
it.
Big spoon guy.
B,
Big spoon
what do you want to hear tonight?
He will also be Little Spoon if you ask him nicely.
You say B or
Um,
D?
B.
Okay, cool.
I mean, I hate to just repeat, but it's got to be drip field. But I'm also right there with Megan. I mean, I kind of do want to see a big Arcadia. I think something to rival Mission Ballroom Arcadia has been due for a while.
Yeah.
And I mean,
yeah.
why not? Why not at Red Rocks? I mean, I'd love to see it.
Yeah, definitely. D.
Yeah, Arcadia is another one that needs a big jam. I agree. I think it's just got to be. Dripfield will be great, but I'm excited to see Thatch. I think that'll just be monstrous. Obviously, just the builds. I mean, the way they played it in Montana, if they can even come close in a space like that, should be pretty magnificent, triumphant.
Anything for you other than a Counting Crows cover?
Yeah, I mean, that would be if I'm following Brian and doing one cover and one original round
Mr.
here.
Jones.
Mr. Jones, if they want to cover any of that, it would be fine. No, in all seriousness, auditorially, hearing the drip toms reverberating off the rocks at Red Rocks.
Yes.
I mean,
yes.
Next level.
You have yet to see a drip live because you weren't at Goosemas.
That's correct. Thanks for reminding me.
Wow. So I'm excited for you.
It will be even more special for Kev when they play it.
I got one more thing that will we see the first Travelers, and obviously Elmeg. We saw it last year, but I'd like to see it come tonight too.
That would be sick tonight.
I'm calling Travelers tonight. That's why I don't
really
compete
Travelers
in Fantasy
tonight.
Goose.
Elmeg tomorrow.
Kev plays for fun.
Elmeg has already played at the Red Rocks,
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are 70 minutes in, and there are still a lot of you watching, which is really
so. Quick break.
Thank you for watching us. Just spout bullshit for 70 minutes about last night's show.
Tempe, take it from the top.
Thank you to our live studio audience for being here for today's pod. It's been a pleasure to do this with everybody today. And Brian and Megan, thank you for being here. Can't wait to see all of you again in just a couple hours when we head back to the Rocks tonight. It's going to be another amazing night, and of course we will be with less people tomorrow, but we will still be back to recap tonight's show tomorrow afternoon at 3:30 p.m. Eastern, 1:30 p.m. Mountain Time. It's going to be a blast tonight, and I can't wait to see Goose again. But thank you again, everybody, for watching. Thank you all for being here to talk about it. It's been amazing.
All right, Ryan, go watch the ball game.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, guys. This was awesome.
Megan, Brian, we'll see you tonight.
Yes.
Yeah, we're going to meet you
tonight.
Thank you, everybody, so much for tuning into this episode of Day After Show.